if you follow Stephen Colbert's formula, you're going to find this a lot easier to do. So let's just have a look at the first. We're going to be learning 3 strategies from Stephen Colbert on how he creates his comedy. And this is one of those things that you're going to find very useful. Have a look.
Stephen Colbert is one of the most popular comedians on television today, and it is largely due to his ability to think on his feet and make people laugh. Today we're going to talk about 3 go-to jokes that form the foundation of Colbert's humor. Once you learn these, jokes will start to come to you on the fly, and you'll have people cracking up without even trying.
I tell him you're trapped in the wrong body.
Poor him.
Yeah, he is.
Because I'm a nerd trapped in the right body.
We're very excited. Deadpool, the whole thing.
I'm excited that I have more than one suit.
The first go-to joke Colbert uses is the fake-out. The idea is to set up expectations going one way, and then say something that goes the other way.
Obviously, did you see him the other night? That guy is on fire. He is on a rocket ride to plausible at this point. Did you watch?
I did. It was a strong debate.
What was it like? I didn't see it.
Surprise.
I didn't see it.
Your new book is America Again, Rebecoming the Greatness We Never Weren't.
That's right.
Which makes no sense.
Of course it does. Of course it does. Because America is perfect.
Right.
And we have to fix it.
It seems simple because it is simple. That's the beauty of it, and is why Stephen can come up with his jokes so quickly. Watch Letterman's reaction to this in the next clip.
You don't like the new pope?
I don't like a new pope.
Because he wouldn't meet you.
Well, that and he's not as doctrinaire as I would hope. He's not into judgment, that sort of thing.
He clearly was not expecting that, and the absurdity of it has him in stitches. Now, Stephen has the benefit of years of experience in improv comedy, but that formula he just laid out, you can practically steal verbatim. If you want to build this habit, just wait until the next time you're about to say you like something. Then instead, say you don't like it, and then list its positive qualities. It may feel clunky at first, but you will very quickly find it becomes natural, and you'll start to crack up everyone around you. It can be as easy as 1 sentence to set expectations and 1 to say the unexpected.
I said no gotcha questions. I promise you no gotcha questions, but I'm going to lead with one.
Go ahead.
If you want to get good at this type of humor, simply get in the habit of asking yourself, what are people expecting me to say in this situation? And then say the opposite.
You know his mother was Scottish.
I heard that, yeah.
Well, that's the problem right there. Can I say that in CBS now?
Oh, yeah. You can say all you want on CBS Now.
Is a master. I love Stephen Colbert. The thing is, every time you watch him, he can bond with every single guest he gets on the show. He can dance with them and flirt with them as a TV show host, but then bring it back to what he needs to do next. But nobody, doesn't matter who the personality is that he has on the show with him, they don't feel that they're left out. They always feel included in his jokes, which is brilliant. He does that so well.
Yeah, well, this strategy I love because, I practice it all the time. I try to do it all the time, and I know it's very easy to practice. Just basically, you build the expectations to something, and then you completely change it around, and that makes people crack up. Now, out of the two of us, you are the funny guy. You are the one that has the great sense of humor, and you do it fantastically on the stage, everywhere. And it's always a joy to have you around. But the problem is many people don't really know how to use humor. Would you really recommend for people to actually start using humor, even if they're not funny or they don't feel that they're funny?
Don't do it. I'll tell you, one of the things I discovered about humor is when you're good at doing it, then that's cool. And I've had humor for my entire life because it's been a survival technique for me to be able to, because I can't fight people because I'm too short and fat, but I can make them laugh. So it's just easier to do it like that. I found and discovered that if you want to get an audience to warm to you, be warm, not funny. Because if you're funny, you might get it right, you might get it wrong, but then you feel the need to become a stand-up comedian and constantly top each joke. And having hosted comedy nights, it's really difficult to do a joke that doesn't fall flat when you're expected to be at the peak of it. What I would always suggest is be warm, because the relationship it has with an audience is the same as being funny. People enjoy your company. And then when you do throw a joke in, it always falls really well because they weren't expecting it. I do a lot of humor. Sometimes it's misplaced, and sometimes there's tumbleweed going across in front of me, but I just keep going anyway because I find it funny, even if nobody else does.
Yeah, what I liked about this strategy is just that basically, if you train yourself, and you don't have to do it on stage or on the camera, but you train yourself to build the expectations and then suddenly change it, that always makes that always grabs a laugh. So before you're actually doing it there, do it not online, but it's also quite a lot of fun. Now here's the second strategy from Stephen Colbert. I think this one also, it's super funny, a little bit more difficult to implement, but you're going to find it also very funny. Have a look.
The second go-to joke Colbert uses is the caricature. Watch it in this next clip and notice how he changes his voice to create a character.
They've got everything in the world. They've got mountains, they've got valleys. The land is so raw, volcanoes. You feel like when you go, there's a deep feeling that if I moved here, if I just stayed, I would be a man. It feels very raw. Yeah.
Now imagine if he hadn't changed his pacing and his tone, and he had simply said, there's a sense that if I just stayed here, I would be a man. You'd know how he felt about New Zealand, but it wouldn't have gotten a laugh. But by slowing his pacing slightly and taking on the caricature of the manly man, he captures the audience's attention and makes them laugh. Stephen made his career out of this for a long time, playing a character that shared his name and face, but not his views or mannerisms. In this next clip, watch him switch between the two and listen for how you notice when he's in character.
When people invite me to do things, I don't always know who they've invited. Me or the guy on the television show.
So who are you?
This is me. This is me. What do you want to know about him, Father?
I
Who's
wanna know-
asking and why?
I'm
okay?
asking- this is
Just because you got the dog collar on doesn't mean you know more about the Catholic Church than I do. Do you understand me? Are we clear on that? St. Basil?
St. Basil.
I'm no fan. Okay?
Why?
Saint Arugula. That's the saint.
Saint Arugula.
That's the saint I worship.
If you want to experiment with this type of humor, you don't have to invent the over-the-top character ahead of time. Just wait until the next time you naturally find yourself telling a story and make it a point to try to embody the different characters involved as you tell it. In this next clip, Stephen shows us 3 things we can play with to embody a character: voice, body language, and the speed at which you speak or move.
But it would be different. It would be.
But he's like, go improvise about,
derivatives and
Really?
yeah.
Generalized debt obligations. Make it exciting. Go.
Exactly.
And the characters don't even have to be the punchline. Here's an example of Stephen showing you how you can take on characters much more subtly, not to get a laugh, but just to set the scene and captivate attention. Just for context, he was doing a shoot for The Daily Show at a KKK rally, and some KKK members saw them doing it and approached them. Notice how he creates a slightly different voice for himself, his female producer, and the KKK members.
Somebody goes, what's this comedy thing? Are you making fun of the Klan? And she goes, look, guys, the president of the Klan's over there across the field. He knows all about what we're doing. Go talk to him. And they said, we're going to. And they all walk off across the field. And she goes, haul ass!
It isn't a huge difference. He doesn't go fully into character, but it helps him keep your attention and makes him more interesting to listen to.
Very intuitive. And you've got to know your audience. You've got to know what you can get away with and the parameters and your own skill sets, because you can drop badly getting an accent wrong or an impersonation wrong. So you've got to get it just right, I guess.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I always brings a big smile to my face is our good friend, Frank Mulcahy. He's from Boston. And I remember the time that you guys met, and we were here in the States, and we were here in Houston. And suddenly he approached to you and he said to you that if you could actually tell where his accent was from.
Yeah.
And I remember that you were just like, well, you're from America. Because of course he was expecting that you will know all the accents from everywhere. So this is what I was going to ask. How would you tell that story? Because it's actually a very...
Well, you put me on the spot with it because I'm rubbish at accents. I can't do any accents. I can barely do mine. And so Frank, I love to bits. He's a very dear friend of ours. And he came up to me, and it was the first time we'd met, and he knew that I was British. And so he wanted to share with me, that he's from somewhere else as well. So he said, hey, can you guess where my accent's from? And I went, America. He went, no. I went, and I'm trying to go through places I know in America. And he goes, Boston. And listener went, you know what? You're absolutely right. And I didn't know what a Boston accent sounded like. I only know Boston accents now sound like Frank. So every time he says something, I know it's Frank Mulcahy from Boston. and he's a sweetheart. I'm not great at picking up accents, but that one I've got drummed into and I've remembered because I love him so much. But yeah, you've got to also be careful, because if you say it in the wrong company, Frank's got a great sense of humor, people can get very offended. So you've got to make sure you do it just subtly so you can be heard, but not quite enough for anyone to catch it.
And let's just see one more, which in my eyes, it's the most difficult of them all. You can do it quite well. And actually, I'm going to put you to the test in a moment just to see how well you can do it.
Nice, thank you.
But this is going to be an interesting one. Have a look.
The third go-to joke Colbert uses is yes and. Yes and is the act of taking something someone else says, accepting it, and then building off of it. Stephen shows us how to do so effortlessly. If you make this a habit of yours, people will love to be around you because you become incredibly fun to joke around with.
Seriously, there is no one I would rather perform with than you.
Really?
Seriously.
Really?
And to be on, but it's true.
Yes and is great for multiple reasons. One reason it's great is that you don't need to invent a premise or set yourself up. You can just listen for a joke and then ask yourself one of two things. Either, what's the same as that but amplified? Or, what's the next logical conclusion if that joke were the case?
Here's the thing. Don't propose to a woman on top of the Eiffel Tower, because you want a woman who's going to settle for less. That's what you want. That's what
It's like at the bottom of a mine shaft, as far away as you can get.
And it can create a great back and forth if the person you're with catches on. You can crack each other up and crack up everyone around you. Listen in this clip how Craig Ferguson throws out two random subjects. Colbert combines them, and then Craig decides it would be funny to act that out.
It's the History Channel.
Yeah, it's
For
history.
a long time, History Channel was like Hitler, and then it was aliens.
Right.
Are there...
That's part of our history, Stephen, whether you like it or not. Aliens and Hitler.
And Hitler alien.
And Hitler, it's...
Okay.
We have come from another planet.
They're building on each other. What do you think Stephen does in response?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good Hitler alien.
Yeah.
That's a spooky good Hitler. He's just kind of... He doesn't mean he's like, yes, we like it.
Yeah.
He complements the impression and then mirrors it to join in on the fun. Not only does that two-person back and forth make everyone around you think you're hilarious, it's also incredibly fun to be a part of. And another reason that heightening someone else's joke is so great is because, as Steve Carell showed, it makes the original joker feel good because they feel listened to and like you get their humor. If you make someone feel listened to and understood and then make them laugh, that is an extremely powerful recipe for very quickly making someone like you.
They remember.
Yeah. You don't get an empire from necessarily being nice guys.
You don't.
No.
But we did it with that certain gentlemanly swagger.
Right. You did it with a gin and tonic in
We
one
certainly
hand.
did. Bang.
What's nice about these three jokes is that it's very easy for them to become habit. If you want to, you can make them second nature to you so that they just come to you on the spot. And to make it even easier on yourself, don't try to master all three at once. Just pick one to focus on at a time. That way, instead of your brain having to spin through multiple options, you know immediately whether to use a fake out, go into caricature, or build off someone else with yes and. Once you've gotten the hang of that one joke formula, then add in another.
Fascinating. Love it. I love it. Breaking down how Colbert does it.
So on this one, we work on it very much. I mean, I remember Michael Dietrich, which is our friend. You have seen him many times here in the Toilet Paper Diaries. But when we were here in Houston doing Speaking America, he was actually teaching all the audience how to do the yes and we feed on each other very nicely on that. I mean, I can start a story and then I throw it to you, and then you can continue that story, and then you can continue that story. I mean, we continue the story, and that's why you see that working together. It's just a great thing. So I hope that you guys find this very valuable.
But one of the things you've got to do, Ernesto, and you see it on these shows of Colbert and so on, they have to make a decision that working together will give a great result. So they won't try and top each other without the consensus that they will try and top each other. So when you've got a guy like Stephen Colbert and John Oliver, who are both clearly capable of anchoring their own show, they will try and get a joke over on each other, but then they'll settle, then go back in again. When you've got the dynamic wrong, and that sometimes happens, you have a massive clash, and then they try and pick it up again, and sometimes it falls so flat, you can tell it's just gone dead between the whole people, and you can feel it, it's tangible. You can tell when it's something that hasn't worked out, because the audience is going, ooh. And one of the best people at producing that is somebody like Ricky Gervais with The Office, because he would say things that were so bad taste and so out of order, and it's very British humor, it would go dry, and you go, oh, should we be laughing? I'm not sure. And he won Emmy after Emmy after Emmy by getting that perfectly right. And a lot of British humor is perfect for doing that as well.
Thanks for watching the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you watch all the videos over here. There's 2 choices for you. Or, of course, I'm Dave Crane coming from Dubai.
And this is Ernesto Verdugo coming from Houston.
And I think we should send a message. Hold on.
What is this?
Subscribe. Make sure you do. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on all the brand new shows, all the tips, tricks, tools, and techniques, and you'll get none of them. And what's even worse is we'll have to get proper jobs. So make sure you subscribe. I would love to see you on future shows of the Toilet Paper Diaries. You can put it down now, Ernesto. Put it down. Put it down and smile. Say goodbye.